Okay, great. I'm calling the meeting back to order. All right, so in continuing our conversation about coming to a place where this board can agree on setting a millage rate for the 2019-2020 budget, our last motion failed to pass with 6 votes. We took a break to confirm some information, and we are going to err on the side of caution and still seek 6 votes tonight. I'd like to just take a minute, because we are really struggling with this, to just point out to those of you who are kind of all over the place. 3 members of the Finance Committee, and yes, I know the 4th member's not here, but 3 members of the Finance Committee are all in agreement that it is a challenge to let go of millage. Mike and Sarah, I think, feel very, very strongly about this. I feel very strongly about this. And yet we are trying to balance that with the realities of respecting the taxpayer and respecting the taxpayer community. But make no mistake about it, 3 of your 4 Finance Committee members are all essentially recommending that we utilize exception dollars and that it is a struggle for us to leave exception dollars on the table. I think that Mike and Sarah very eloquently said and advocated for using all of our exception dollars. I'm listening to the board and hearing, I don't think that there's the comfort, nor do I think there are 6 votes to utilize all of the exception dollars. And so I'm trying to find a place of compromise. The last motion failed, so what I'd like to do is propose the motion that Sarah put forth, which is to utilize millage that brings us to the place of not using fund balance. I know that everyone's not comfortable with that, completely comfortable. I know that we're not completely comfortable with any tax increase, but the fact of the matter is, all 8 of you tonight, or all 8 of us tonight, have all talked about what we value in this community. Our teachers, providing a really, a superb academic experience for our children. We're bringing in new counselors tonight. This is something that we have spoken about as a part of the Student Wellness Committee. All 8 of us, and I would say Mrs. Booker if she were here, all 9 of us have supported the notion that we need to make sure that we are taking care of our children's social and emotional needs. And we're able to utilize access dollars in the 1920 year, but we won't be able to do that going forward. And I personally don't want to be in a position where if we realize that these mental health professionals bring us great value and then we struggle to pay for them, I know I won't want to be in that position. So with that said, I'd like to make a new motion that the board adopt, or entertain a motion that the board adopt the 2019-2020 proposed final general fund budget in the amount of $100,986,944, representing a real tax increase of 0.8256 or 3.4% over 2018-2019. Do I have a motion to entertain that? And a second?
Second.
Okay. So this is now the 3rd option that we've been presented tonight with a motion and a second. I could put forth discussion. I could let Sarah and/or Andrew, Sarah and/or Mike speak again as members of the Finance Committee. Sorry.
Could I just ask a clarifying question? Is
Sure.
that a $648,000
Yes, that's the option.
usage of the exceptions?
Actually, Michelle's numbers say $659,066.
One more time?
$659,066, if Michelle's,
That's correct, because
Math.
you have to take the millage rate, you won't collect 100% of it through taxes, so it has to be adjusted in order to collect the amount that we're looking for.
Wait, so the millage rate again, Susan?
the mills would be .8256.
No, 25 something.
Oh, the millage rate. Oh, I'm sorry. No, she wants to know what the mills would be
Millage
set
rate.
at.
It
I
was
think it was 25.0123.
Yeah, correct.
25.01.
You mentioned 648K, but now that number is being revised to 659.
659.
659, because it needs to account for the percentage that you will not collect.
Okay, thanks.
Right, okay.
I'm just putting it in the format of the other
Yeah, no, I appreciate
3
it.
options.
So, Mike, I don't know if you want to speak to that. I know that you were not comfortable supporting the second proposal that we came forward with. I know you feel strongly about gathering the exception dollars.
Right, it's not about Yes, I mean, we've already, like I said before, the exception dollars are there to let us raise taxes to the amount that we've already spent due to, especially for the special ed costs that are mandated that we spend and that, we should spend for those children. And now we have the chance to get them. This is a good compromise. I mean, I'm gonna butcher this saying, isn't it a good meeting when nobody's happy or something? But.
I think I said that
this
an
is-
hour ago, and we're still working on it.
It's also good too, because we need to plan for the future here. We have a number of buildings as the facilities chair. I've talked to Mr. Brooks about this, Mr. Batchelor, Mr. Stitzel, Ms. Decow, everybody. We got a whole bunch of buildings that are getting old, that are getting small. If we get any more buses, we got somewhere to put them. So we've got some challenges coming up. It's kind of like the sewers of the township, right? They have a 50-year lifespan. They're 70 years old. So, they jacked our sewer rates 50%. They were supposed to do 100%. So I don't know if that means we're only replacing half the sewers. But, we have we have some challenges coming up here, and we need to start planning for it and putting some money away to pay for that, in addition to the teachers that we've already paid for 2 years ago, and we're still paying for recurringly. So I think this is a good compromise.
Do I have further board comment? Okay, so with that being said, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the motion fails. So where would we like to go from here? I've presented 3 options.
Can we reconsider option 2 as a compromise?
Sure. So I will once again read the motion.
Well, I guess, can we, as part of our deliberations, ask the one person who I think might vote for, am I allowed to say to Mike, do you think you would consider voting for it this time?
You want to do a straw vote?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to ask what you just asked.
Well, I said hypothetically, can I ask? I didn't say it to you. Before we read a whole motion again.
You have a conversation about almost anything.
Well, I think you have to make the motion and then talk about it.
Correct, so I'm
Okay.
going to read the motion
Thank you.
and entertain a motion. That the board adopt the 2019-2020 proposed final general fund budget in the amount of $100,986,944, representing a real estate tax increase of .7314 mils or 3.02% over 2018-19. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. So now you can have discussion.
What would it take for you to say this, Mike?
Look, you and I are on the same page, right? No, look, the reality is,
This is
No, the reality
this isn't the final budget, right? This is just to move the ball along to next month.
This
If we
is to
don't
move
come
the-
up with something now.
well, but
we
if
don't-
this isn't what we agree on next month, is that a problem?
Yeah.
Don't we have
Yes,
to
no,
agree?
it's a problem.
It's a problem, like this
If we
has.
don't agree on something next month, then it's.
No,
like-
no, but it has to be this next month, essentially, right? Don't we have to vote on the same thing twice?
No.
It'll be different than what you're voting on this evening.
Right.
What you're voting on this evening basically is to allow for 30 days of public comment, for public viewing. And my opinion is always that you want your final budget to be less in terms of millage than what you put out for the proposed. You don't want to put out to your taxpayers that you're going to increase it X number of dollars or percentage, and then end up having that be larger. You just don't really want to do that. So it will be different. You're not going to vote on this exact same thing. We're going to continue to make changes. Administration's going to continue to review things and look at things and make any changes that come about. We haven't gotten our final tax assessments yet, so we'll get those shortly, and then we'll take a look at those.
That's
But
why it
just
says
as-
proposed final.
Right, it's proposed final, but so there's still, I just want to make for a point of procedure, so make sure the board, and we all understand as we move forward, that this is the proposed final. There could be changes at the next. You're saying by law, it can't go higher, the change, or just by perception? Just perception?
Just perception.
Okay,
The
then we
law
don't need to
does-
repost for 30 days.
No, the law does not prevent you from
Right.
increasing it. From my viewpoint, the perception to your taxpayer is not
Yeah,
good.
no, that makes a lot of sense. And the benefit of this is it gives people time to understand that we're asking for a 3.02 increase, which is, yes, slightly higher than last year, but really in line with the last 5 years, 4 years, right? We had a 3.62, we had a 3.03. And then the following years, we didn't have an exception we were allowed to claim. Where we had opportunities for exceptions in 2016, 17, and 17, 18, we took them. I mean, we didn't, the board
But
did.
we haven't always had exceptions.
They're,
Well, we often didn't take them. I mean,
Well-
way more times did we leave money on the tables when I've
okay,
been on this board
but in
than
the
haven't,
last
just
5
saying.
years that the district seems to be functioning fairly well, and there haven't been cuts for teachers, et cetera, it looks like, I mean, looking at this table, and for people who are interested, it's in the packet. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a page number, I'd reference it. But it looks like in 16, 17, and 17, 18, there were options to take exceptions to go over the Act One index, and the board did it. I wasn't here. The board discussed it, I'm assuming, and it was done. So I don't think we're out of line in taking exceptions. And I think, you know, Mike's point is well taken. I'm also on the facilities committee, and we do have facilities that are aging, and infrastructure is something important when you want to continue in the district. So this money is just to cover the special ed costs. It's not even necessarily to cover those other things. So I think we have to be mindful. We have an obligation to the community to maintain their assets as well.
Hey, Michelle, what other years have we had over $1 million in surplus?
Many.
Is that like a common every year?
We've had it for quite a few years. There was the year when we did the Ithan and Wayne construction, where we did not have a surplus, we had a deficit, but that was the result of the fact that we were transferring a large amount over to pay for the Ithan and Wayne construction. We've changed practices in the district. There were times when the surpluses were much larger than that percentage. So I have tried to make some changes so that the surpluses aren't as large as they have been. So, I mean, if you would like that information, I'm happy to provide that.
It's in the budget
Is it in
binder.
the budget binder?
Yep. Yep.
Can I also say something that, you know, looking at this through the lens of GRCC and the Legislative Council, you know, these conversations are tough, and they're tough for a pretty particular reason, and that's because we are underfunded by our state. You know, Pennsylvania ranks 46th out of all 50 states in terms of what it commits to its share of paying for public education. And that's what makes these conversations challenging, you know? And there was a great article in the paper, actually, sometime last year by the same woman who wrote an article we didn't particularly like, Maria, whatever her last name is. But it was a really pointed article that I think all of us would agree on, and that is that, you know, our taxpayers have to help us get the state to better fund public education, and then these conversations aren't so arduous. We are 46th out of 50. That's where Pennsylvania is in terms of what it contributes to public education. And that's what makes these conversations tough. So when we go and do these PA Schools Work campaigns, that's why, because we don't want to have these tough conversations. And so I think Chuck and I would both invite all of you to continue to help us, you know, advocate in Harrisburg. It's not, you know, a fruitless exercise. If we could we got a little bit more money this year, but it's not what the PA Schools Work campaign is asking for, and they're asking for that for the numbers for a very specific reason, so that we can do these things and not have to worry about putting this on the backs of our taxpayers. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's hard not to think of that when we're spending a long time around the table, you know, frustrated with these challenges, you know, having to make tax decisions like this.
Okay, so do we have more discussion? All righty, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor, say aye. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those opposed? 2. So the motion passes 6-2. I don't have my agenda is all closed up. Oh, yeah, thanks. All right. Thanks, real quick. All right, so does anyone have any new business? No? Okay, then we're going to move on to public comment. Seeing no public comment, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you.